Hello, and welcome to today's edition of Mama's Got Style, how upgrading your look will elevate your business, get you high-paying clients, and increase the fun factor in your life. I'm your host, Kara Allan, and today we're talking with Derek, Fonzworth Bentley Watkins. Hey, Derek.
What's happening?
How are you? So glad you could join us today.
I'm excited here on the West Coast, first day of spring, feeling great.
Yeah, you guys have a little bit better weather than we do for sure.
100%.
Well, so Derek is an author. He has an awesome book called Advance Your Swagger. You have to get it on Amazon. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so can you tell us a little bit about you and how you got into style and what it's like hanging with all of your fashionable, stylish friends?
Hmm. Um, Interesting. I think, first I'm born and raised in Atlanta,
Hmm.
Georgia, specifically Southwest Atlanta, Georgia. And I think one of the things that's very consistent about Atlantans, especially the era in which I was coming up, my formidable years, is color is very important.
Hmm.
So bright colors, the use of colors, matching colors, um, really being experimental with patterns, uh, textures, and have always just been very important to our style.
Yeah.
Uh, and so growing up, you were either what we call soul or you were prep. And so the folks that were soul, they wore like starter suits,
Mm.
starter jackets, um, and you know, like British Nikes
Oh yeah.
and that sort of thing.
You're
Of
showing our
course,
age right now.
so feel I have no problem with it. I grew up in the best era.
That's true. It was fun.
Everything now is imitating our
It,
era.
that is
So,
true.
um, and so, and then there were the preps, and so the preps wore, we wore, of course, a lot of polo sport. Um, you would wear like a Benetton bag. You put a
Hmm.
tennis racket in the bag, and full on
Even if
like
you didn't play.
even when you definitely didn't play. You put on the full on lifestyle, the Timberlands with the thick soles, uh, tree torns. We would dye tree torns,
Hmm.
different colors and that sort of thing. But I think, the inception of my sense of style really started just in that particular thing.
Mm.
There was a huge transition that happened. There was this clothing line that came out when I was in high school called Skids, and so
Yes.
essentially they were like big pajama hammer pants, like big pajamas meets hammer pants,
Yes.
and they were in these huge tartans and very colorful. And then the logo was like a car, the car sign when there's a skid on the road.
I
That
remember.
was that was the logo. So when they came out, they were the coolest things around.
Hmm.
And that particular Christmas, my parents gave my younger brother, and I $500 for Christmas, and I'm not exactly sure why they gave my younger brother the exact same amount of money as me. But anyway, um, and they're like, you can do whatever you want with it. And so I was like, cool. I'm buying skids, and so with the skids, I could buy 6 outfits. Meaning I could buy bottoms and tops, and then the patent leather shoes with the steel toe on the front.
Oh my God.
Um, so I literally bought 6 outfits of skids. And so, like, the first week back from Christmas, I was literally killing them, like
Yes.
killing them. The interesting thing about skids is literally by my birthday, which is February 13th, skids, they weren't like headed out of style.
Yeah.
Okay. They were just done. Like, if you had skids on, it was like, bro, like, why are you still wearing them skids? And I would try to break them up. I try to wear the tops with like some jeans and try to break it up. My mom's like, oh no, you got the whole outfit for that. No, go on upstairs and put that whole outfit on. So that's when my father sat me down with a book by a gentleman named Allan called Closing the Man. The
Mm,
newer edition of the book is called Styling the Man, and it is a quintessential staple menswear essential handbook with all the things you really need to really understand for foundational men's clothing and
mm,
how to build a wardrobe. And he began talking to me about, my great grandfather, Daddy Emmett, who to this day I still believe is the most elegant man that ever walked the planet.
oh, nice.
He was always had a fedora or a cane or an umbrella with him at all times.
Wow.
And that's part of, this is where the whole love for umbrellas really stemmed from because
Mm,
my daddy Emmett. Uh, so my dad really introduced me to this, and he's like, Derek, look at this style. This style is timeless. It's classic. It will never go out of style.
right.
And that's when I really began to understand, what a trend is versus what is being dressed uh, in in classic clothing that will never go out of style.
Right.
And so that was a big transition for me where I began doing that. And, I still have garments in my closet right now that are, literally 25 years old,
Wow.
30 years old. Uh, I've had to let some of the pants out, but I can still wear some of the garments, which I'm very proud of. My jacket size hadn't changed, so I can
Yeah.
still, wear um, a lot of those garments from back then. So that's where a lot of my sense of style stemmed from. And then, from there I began doing my own research, from, the photographs of James Van Der Zee, who chronicled the Harlem Renaissance uh, extensively in just that era, the 30s and the late 20s, which
Hmm.
was I consider the most elegant time uh, in American history,
Yeah.
uh, and that classic elegance is really where my sense of style came from.
That's so awesome because it's like built in. You had the dad and you had a granddad because most guys don't have that. And if they don't,
Mm.
like, well, where do they get it from? They're either getting it from their buddies or like random people they see on the street. And like the thing now is like the droopy drawers with the pants or whatever with no belt. It's like that's not style, man. I don't know what that is. It's just not cute. But that's so awesome that you had that because that's a great foundation.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I get so many tweets and tags on Instagram now because I started working in the entertainment business after working at Ralph Lauren for
Mm.
2.5 years, well, 2.5, 3 years, 3 years. Um, this is almost 17, almost 20 years ago now. I
Hmm.
have young people or grown men now that come to me and like, you taught me how to dress classic. Like
Oh,
I
that's
didn't have a
great.
father. And so it's just
Oh.
kind of interesting. Uh, again, definitely ages you, which again,
It's all
I have no problem with that.
right. You still don't look
I'm
it.
still here. I'm
Yeah,
still doing it. So
right. You still look good. It's all good.
thank you. My wife thinks so.
It is all good. So, what has been your biggest challenge, you think, while you've been transitioning from this single guy to a married man with babies, and you're still running around, flying back and forth across the country, with everything that you're doing? Like, what's been how do you maintain romance and build your business and like keep everything going without like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. It's a lot because you do a lot.
Yeah, well, I can say, we have a set date night.
Huh,
So
that's good.
Saturday, Saturday, we're gonna get a babysitter. We're gonna make sure that we spend some time together, dinner, movie, or something in that ilk. And you really have to make sure when you get married to not just get so comfortable. And remember, you still gotta date your wife,
Right.
you know. And it's funny, it's true, like with a 2-year old and a 4.5-year old, and the schedule is so important. So
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, you know, the kids wake me up in the morning. I'm doing breakfast in the morning.
Mm.
Uh, Unless I've had like a really late night in the studio, then my wife will do that. But that's usually, what I'm doing. And then just depending on what the morning looks like, either she or I'll drop them off. Then, we'll drop my daughter off, and then um, my daughter has to be picked up a certain time, and then dinner, bathing, and putting nighttime is at a certain time, which doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting things done in business, especially when you're an entrepreneur, there's an advantage where I can make a schedule where I can be home and be extraordinarily present in my children's lives,
Right.
and in my wife's life. But at the same time, um, you know, I had a call, at what 9 o'clock on. I'm gonna have a clock on sometimes on a Sunday at 9 o'clock
Mm-hmm.
p.m. because it's a very important piece of a puzzle of a particular project that I'm working on, and I have to make sure that I'm available on
Right.
moments like that. So it is a balance, but what I will say is you have time for what you want to make time for,
It's true.
and you just have to become that much more intentional. uh, these days, a lot of times, you know um, when I was just my daughter, one of the things we do as a family is we do our walks and we do prayer.
Mm.
And now with one in school, a lot of times what we'll do is I'll like meet my wife to pick up my daughter, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll just get there early and go on a walk in the neighborhood around her school.
Oh,
And if I
nice.
have a call or something like that, then
Yeah.
I'll still do that, but I can still, you know, be there and be present to
Mm-hmm.
still have those types of moments. So, it's a balance, but
Yeah.
you can get it done. You can get it done.
Yeah, and it's important because she has her career as well. She's an actress, so
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting when you have a whole household that's like doing all this stuff, but you still
Yeah.
figure out a way to make it work. My earring doesn't work.
Yes. 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 Scheduling is paramount in this home.
Mhm. Yeah, and then still making time for each other and the kids is like that's just how you have to
Yeah.
make it work, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah. So how do you think style supports, especially men, but women too, but like, as a man, when you show up, thinking back to when you were single, it's like, you show up dressed well and you're got that swag, you know, that's like, hey, instant, you could be talking, nonsense and people still would be like, oh my God, he looks like he has it all together. How do you think that supports a person beyond just obviously the physical look, but like, how does that support their self-esteem and their self-awareness and like who they are as a person?
Well, very good question. For one, clothing is language.
Hmm.
So before you open your mouth, you've had actually an entire conversation with whoever's in front of you and the world around you.
Hmm.
And I know for me, like I don't get sick often, like
No.
very, very rare.
Yeah.
But when I do get like under the weather, you get hit hard a lot of times with, that first day when you're just kind of like either under the covers or just kind of dragging. But
Uh-huh.
one of the things for me to make myself feel better, I take a really good shower and then I get dressed up in like the best suit tie combination I possibly can and go throughout my day
Nice.
because your posture is different
Hmm.
when you're in a suit.
True.
You walk different when you're in a pair of suede brogues.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to kind of drag and almost succumb to what is that reality of how you're feeling.
Hmm.
You almost push yourself into a new reality, double like slash what you're actually believing for.
Hmm.
And so I know, especially um, in business, number one, the suit is the international uniform for business,
Hmm.
period. And it doesn't matter what genre you work in. And yes, I know that, from the .com boom from years ago,
Yeah.
which equaled Casual Friday, and so now the startup boom. So startup folks are, dress in that kind of bridge comfort slash presentable enough,
Right.
or just, especially here in LA, like what you wear to the gym is almost couture. I mean, people wear this athleisure like all of the time.
Mhm.
And but what I will say is, when you're dressed uh, fully and you walk into, whether it's a restaurant or whether it's a place of business, um, people, they take you differently,
Mhm.
and the respect for whatever it is that's coming behind that, what you're going to say, what it is you want to pitch, whatever idea you would like to share. Uh, it just comes with a different velocity, I found,
Yeah.
and a different credibility. So I've always told people, knowing how to put on a suit is one thing, but knowing how to put it on well is another. And I
Mhm.
think that that is a imperative thing for not just men, but for women as well.
Right. I've always felt like a man, if they're a little easier to deal with when you talk about dress because you could tell him, hey, if you dress well consistently and behave like a gentleman and know what you're talking about and you come across as a genuine person, then it's going to get you the girl, the contract, the this and that. And guys are like, oh, sign me up. They're very A to B with it. Whereas a woman is more a little bit emotionally um, still like, oh my god, I want to get into these pants that I had like 10 years ago. Like they're still focused on
Right.
what was, not what is. And it's like, girl, just buy you some pants that fit you today and call it a day. Keep it moving. And so it's a little bit more of a an emotional process for them. But men are just easy with that. Like once they figure it out, it gets them what they want, they're good. You don't have to like drill it into their head so much. But when they don't have that, they are sort of willy-nilly with it too. I have seen that for sure.
Another thing I found, just in dealing with the types um, of different entrepreneurs that I've been dealing with in the last, say, 5 to 6 years,
Mm,
really high capacity folks, billionaires, folks that have a lot of influence. A
mhm,
lot of them, it's almost textbook what they wear, and they don't really vary from it much.
mm,
Uh, and when you talk to those folks, it's because their their minds are firing so much that they would rather not spend any brain, like, fatigue on a decision about what they're going to wear.
yeah,
They'd much rather use that towards ideation or creativity when it comes to their business.
mhm.
And I see that with myself as well. I wear something and I'll wear almost the same thing 2 3 days in a row. I remember coming up in New York and first getting to New York City, and I just didn't understand why folks wore all black. I was like, all of the beautiful colors in the world, like, why do
Right.
they do that?
Yeah.
So boring. But I get it now.
Yeah.
It becomes something that's easy. It's something that's clean. It's something that's presentable. Uh, but even with that, I think that there's a way to do it chic and not lazy. So
Mhm.
just
That's
like
true.
to add that.
Because it does take as much time to dress beautifully as it does to dress sloppily. It takes as much time to pull on that garment as it does. It just takes a little bit more thought or,
Yeah.
care to put on something that is beautifully representative of who you are. I mean, I visited Italy about 6 years ago and I was in Milan for about a month. And I was so floored by how everywhere I went, you didn't see people schlepping around in like tennis shoes
Yeah.
and nothing. Like they were always presenting themselves with care because it's like their whole thought process is I got dressed not just for me, but to present myself to you in a beautiful way
Yeah.
and not just show up like because I didn't put, I was lazy and I'm like, it doesn't matter. It matters. It all matters about how you present yourself and how you show up all the time.
Yeah. There's this Neapolitan tailor that a very good friend of mine has made an introduction to, that wants to do a collaboration with me. And
Ooh.
I really kind of have my head focused on something else when it comes to menswear. But looking at these gentlemen and these old world like millionaires, like that romantic way and approach to to clothing,
Hmm.
it's really difficult to kind of not do this,
Right.
so I'm in a place, where I've got some time to figure it out. But you know they just, it's an effortless style that they have that it's really, really beautiful.
Effortless chic, I like to call it.
Yeah,
You should totally do that. I mean, oh my gosh, you never know what could come out of that. That's an amazing
true.
opportunity. Yeah. So now you had a father that was, aware of style and a grandfather. Now, for what's your advice for guys that don't? Like, how do they go about finding how to figure out how their clothes should actually fit? Because it's just my opinion that most men wear their clothing at least 1 to 2 sizes too big. I don't know why. That's just how they roll. And, trying to get them to understand that um, the distinction between fit and tight is like you have to learn that, or too
Yeah,
big or whatever, because it totally gives you a whole different presentation when your clothing fits you the way it's supposed to.
yeah, I totally agree. I tell people all the time, I only fear two things: God and a bad tailor. That's it.
I
you
know that's
know
right.
uh, but to that point, I outline some very specific things for fit in my book, Advance Your Swagger: How to Use Mass Confidence and Style to Get Ahead. But also, yeah, there it is. But also, styling the man uh, does a really great job of outlining and having really interesting illustrations as well as photographs
Oh yeah,
on some good ways and bad ways.
I
I
got
have some in my book as well. Yep, there it is. Yeah, dressing the man. Oh, so it's dressing the man now. So
yeah, it's an awesome
Flusser.
book. I've had
Yeah,
this for
and
a while.
and Flusser endorsed my book,
Oh, that's so
actually.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's one of my OGs.
That's so cool. So yeah, read as much as you can, go to a tailor, do all those things.
Yeah, and also I think, um y- I think, with technology really leveling the playing field.
Hmm.
I remember when I went to New York, I would go to Hudson News and I'd go through all of the international magazines, women's wear and menswear, and that's how I would learn. Like now, you can do that with a click, on your
Right.
computer.
Hmm.
But sometimes I know that there are men who, even looking at images, won't know based on the way a guy looks. They may think he looks good, but his shirt is actually too tight because his
Hmm.
neck is kind of overlapping that a little bit. Or,
Right.
you know, even with bow ties really should not go wider than the contour of the cheekbone. Otherwise, it makes your head look like it's gift wrapped. Man,
Oh my gosh. I get the picture of a clown.
oh my God. But, you know, um, so there are rules, but of course, rules are made to be broken.
Yeah.
But symmetry is always going to be important. And there
Hmm.
are things that become uh, a, a a style or a thing for the moment. Like, folks are oversizing a lot of things, oversizing their jackets, wearing it so this falling off of their coats, off of their shoulders, and that's like a way to kind of like stun or swag it out, or drip out on folks, and that's cool. But like,
Hmm.
you should know that if you're going to raise the $25 million for your venture fund, that might not be the way you want to walk up and uh,
It's true, and people notice those details.
people people definitely notice those details.
Mhm.
And the thing is, there's going to be people that are watching this like, well, anyway, well, so and so does this and they raise money, so on and so forth, and that's great. And yes, there are always exceptions, but the
Yeah,
thing that I would say is, you don't you don't want your clothing to be a distraction.
exactly.
What's more important is your business plan. What's more important is what's coming out of your mouth and your pitch. What's
Mhm.
more important is your product. And so
Right.
if there's something when you can tell when somebody continues to either look up at your hair or look up at your head or look down at your tie or something, you can tell when folks are doing that. And if
Right.
that's something they're doing, you know if it's they're admiring it or if it's a distraction.
Right.
And if something's a distraction, then it's not adding value to your bottom line and your desired goal.
Yeah.
So it's better to err on the side of being what we call smart or correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Jesse Itzler?
I'm not.
So he's like an entrepreneur. He's like a serial entrepreneur, and he's married to Sarah Blakely, who owns Spanx.
Yes.
And he was one of the first guys, white guys actually, that got a contract with Delicious Vinyl, back when Tone
Interesting.
and everything was in that. And so I met him at a conference I went to last September. And his story is so amazing. It's so compelling. Like, this guy is so driven. Like, all the things that he did to get where he is. Like, he co-created a company called Marquis Jet, where it's like prepaid private jet hours and all that. So he did all this stuff, and he's talking about this story. And as he's talking, literally, I see him do this with his shirt one time, and I was just like, like, I noted it, but I kept on and watching him, and then he did it again, and I was like, wow, his shirt doesn't fit, and he feels self-conscious about it. So it was so a distraction. Like, and I asked other people, did you notice when he did that? And they all noticed, but they didn't know why. I figured it out, obviously. And I was like, wow. So when I went and talked to him after, and I didn't mention that when I first started talking to him, I just connected with him. And then we ended up talking later, and I was like, hey, your story is so great and it's so compelling. And I just, I noticed that you did kind of was fiddling with your shirt, and I just would love to help you disappear that, because it's such a distraction when you're giving this amazing talk that you don't want people to be focused on the fact that you're pulling on your shirt. And so we ended up working with him. I flew to Atlanta and
very cool.
So it was awesome, because I honestly just wanted to help him disappear that, because it was such a distraction. So, and that's totally, a big thing of, like, you think it doesn't matter, but then in a way, innately you feel it, because you feel it's uncomfortable, or it just doesn't, that's what you end up doing, is pulling or tugging, like, oh my God, I shouldn't have worn this, or it's too big, or it's too small, or whatever. And that translates to people, and they won't necessarily know why, unless there's somebody like you or me, because that's what we do. But it'll be a distraction, and it makes them feel sort of uncomfortable, because they don't know what's happening. Like, they're like, why is he doing that when he's talking? You know what I mean? So yeah, it matters. Just saying.
Matters.
Even really matters. This guy who's like a multimillionaire, it matters for him, for whatever he's doing.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think? Tell me about your daily style routine. I know I've seen you with facial hair, without, What are your 5 go-to things that you have in your daily style?
Well, right now, for grooming, what are we talking about? Grooming right now?
Style and grooming.
Oh, that's both.
It's kind of a combination of things.
Yeah. So I'd say for grooming, we'll start there, right? Because, the first thing you do when you get up is you brush your teeth and the tongue and roof of your mouth. I just help some people.
Do that, right?
I just help some people right now.
Oh, man.
But, after you do that, and, when it comes to, like, the face wash and all of that stuff, I'm a guinea pig for my wife, okay? And I'm sure there are some men that are out there, like, I'll be laying in bed and my wife would just come and just put some under my hair. Put this under there. Let me see what this does. So cute. But there are these Israeli products. I don't know the name right off bat that my wife uses. So obviously that's what I use to wash my face and all that sort of thing. But as far as grooming, when it comes to hair and beard and all of that stuff, I've actually been working for about the last 3 years developing some products. And so I've been using them, and they've been really doing me justice. So
nice.
I grew my hair out. To get the right product for that. And obviously I've been known for years for having, Dramamine level waves in my head. So I got made a fantastic pomade for that, and really it was because of solution. It was a solution based thing. I
Right.
found that there are a lot of good pomades out there a lot of times, but what happens is either they're flaky or they make my head itch,
Mm.
or
That's not good.
or don't let no woman come up and touch your hair. It's feel like a Kit Kat, and that's not fly. So
It's not.
yeah,
Oh,
definitely more on the definitely more on those soon. So as far as grooming, that's what that is. I use my own products for that. And then as far as um, getting dressed, I have to have comfortable shoes.
mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you, I don't care what you got going on. When your feet hurt, you can't hide that. You can't hide it. You can
Nope.
try to hide it, but you'll do a little something. You may just grimace or something. So right now, I'm literally, I swear, the Yeezy 700s Air Wave Runners is the best sneaker Kanye has ever made, and that is my go-to sneaker right now. I wear it every day. Uh, Need to order another pair because those are almost burnt. I need to go send them to Jason Mark because I literally I wear the mess out of those. Um,
Oh,
and
man.
then my O-ring belt from Ernest Sohn. I've always been a big O-ring belt type of guy. I think that's from my old Ralph Lauren double RL days. And Ernest Sohn I'm sorry, not Ernest Sohn. I'm sorry, Ernest Sohn doesn't even exist anymore. It's Grown and Sohn, pardon me. Grown and Sohn
Okay.
is a brand. He actually was a designer at Ralph Lauren. He's in New York. He's in Tribeca, has a shop there. Wear a lot of his stuff. And, you know, right now, it's funny, you know, this whole, should we call it a hoodie extravaganza? What should we call it?
An
It's like a hoodie
epidemic.
takeover. Yeah, it's an epidemic. That's what it is. The hoodie epidemic. So to deal with the hoodie thing, because it is a convenient piece of wardrobe, especially when people recognize you, and sometimes you just want to just keep it moving.
Right.
Um, I find that people wear hoodies that represent their lifestyle or the lifestyle that they uh, want to present, or whatever that is. So if I'm not in, you know, somebody's merch, which is, right now I got on about the Tribe Called Quest bottoms, so I'm in a Tribe Called Quest or a Martha's Vineyard Black Dog hoodie. Uh, or there's a surf brand. There's a surf brand that I really fancy called Con Surf, which is a vintage. It's from the '50s. They were huge, and a guy who's a designer he was at YSL, Louis Vuitton, a lot of different luxury brands bought the company some time ago, and it's like bringing them back.
Nice.
So he's just been doing some really cool stuff. But on a day to day, like right now, what is it? It's like in LA in the '60s. So this is like flannel central,
Oh my
if you
gosh.
will. This is flannel central. But you know, I dress for comfort. I keep several navy blazers. And I always keep one in my car just in case.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Right.
Um, I fancy right now. I've been wearing my double-breasted brass button 6-on-2 navy blazer the most right now. It's just something about it that still can be casual, but still be very dressy.
Yeah.
Whether it's with jeans, whether it's with you know, uh, like a cream flannel or cream gabardine, whatever. It
hmm
just it just does what it needs to do.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's kind of where my head's been at. I have a unconstructed blazer, open patch pocket, like uh, you know, like natural shoulder blazer that I've been wearing. Um, you know, I'm probably going to end up making a, a cardigan because like I'll wear this one and I like it, but it's just something about it I don't want, and then this one it's just something here, maybe too short in the back or something,
Oh,
the
I got
drape
it.
or something. So,
Mhm.
but I'm one of those that I don't like being cold,
No.
right?
I'm with
And
you.
LA has two seasons in a day. It'll be hot, but at night when the sun goes down,
Mhm.
it will get chilly on you. So, yeah, that's kind of my day to day.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, you have definitely an advanced style repertoire that is awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
So, what do you do for fun?
For fun, you know, right now, for fun, I like chase my kids, right? And then I grab a teddy bear, and then as they run to the other side of the house. So they're on one side. So I run in there and scare them. Then I grab teddy bear, and then I throw it as they run away from me as hard as I can, and like hit them in the back, hit them in the leg, hit them in the head. One of these days I'm gonna get it like right between their legs, so they like trip up. One of these days I'm gonna just hit it just perfectly. But that's actually that's my favorite fun pastime right
That's
now.
hilarious.
But other than that, I CrossFit.
Mm,
So that's you gotta exercise just in
mm.
general. But one of the things I found out recently, well, I guess in the last 5 years, is once you've been an athlete,
Mhm.
whether you're doing that particular thing anymore or not, it doesn't matter. You're still an athlete. You're always an athlete.
Right.
And so if you're not exercising some form of training that gets your body to kind of redline in that way that you did as an athlete, if
Mhm.
you're not doing something, you'll find your emotional life, your physical life, all of the other aspects of your life will be affected.
Mhm.
And so I had to find, I went, I had personal trainer and hiking, all of these different things. Nothing worked. But when I found CrossFit, that worked for me. It's like high intense, it's circuit training. Um, so that really works for me. So I've been doing that. So that's definitely something in my fun time. Uh, Instagram. Let's just keep it all the way 100.
Yeah.
I like Instagram, but you know, my wife and I we go to the movies a lot.
Mhm.
You name it, I've seen it. Wrinkle in Time came out Friday. I saw it last night. You know what I mean? Like,
And
we
Black
we
Panther,
see
I
a
know you
lot.
saw.
I saw Black Panther, and I'm also a voting SAG member. So, I'm voting for those things for the Academy Awards and that sort of
Nice.
thing. So I'm always really interested to see how my vote kind of tarries or fares with the Academy, if you will.
What are the top three movies you're looking forward to coming out this year?
Oh man, let's see what's supposed to be coming out. Well, I mean, of course, what is it? Is it Han? Is it called Han Solo? New Star Wars? Is it called Han or something like that?
I think
Han
so. Yeah.
Solo. It's called Solo. That's what it's
Solo.
called.
Yeah. Hmm.
Solo. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I'm
Yeah.
really interested to see how they either really awesomely revitalize and tell the story of Han Solo, or just destroy it for all of us.
Right.
Be one or the other. What else is out or coming out that I saw? Baby, what movie's coming out that I want to see? Oh yeah, we didn't see Phantom Threads yet
Okay.
with Daniel Day-Lewis.
Mhm.
It's about a designer, right? I think it is. Yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis, definitely one of my favorite actors, and it's supposed to be his last performance.
Really? Oh my
So
gosh.
That's what I heard. So
He's awesome.
yeah.
I love his The Last of the Mohicans. That's one of the classics.
Oh yeah, he's incredible. There Will Be Blood. Gangs in New York. He's just a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Denzel's the next one. What's the one he
What's
did?
his next one?
Oh God, it's a sequel to the one he did like 2 years ago, where he was like the random like working at home.
Oh yeah. What's the name of that movie with Denzel? Where he in the Home Depot chopping folks' heads off.
I The Equalizer, isn't it?
The Equalizer.
The second
I
Equalizer.
want to see Denzel equalize some folks.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's a sequel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it comes out. I want to say either September or July, something like that. It's coming out this year. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that for sure. And then eventually Avatar, if that ever comes out, the second one. I'm looking
Oh
forward
no. Incredibles 2, Negro.
to.
Let me tell you something. I saw The Incredibles 3 times in a row
That
in the
is so
theater.
hilarious. Oh my
The
God.
Incredibles was incredible. I love The Incredibles. That's what I'm looking forward to.
My grandson, I swear I've seen what is it? Despicable Me 2 like 1,000
Oh
times.
man,
I
no,
can literally
I've
repeat
seen
the whole movie.
I've seen Trolls about 1,500 times.
Right, that one too.
My kids, Lord have
Same.
mercy.
Yeah, they just love. He
They love
loves
it.
the Minions. It's like he speaks that language. It's so crazy. And
That's
it's
funny.
cool. I mean, I like it. It's not a kid movie. Clearly, it's an adult movie, but
Oh yeah.
it's definitely got a
Is
great.
that one rated G? Is that one rated G or is it PG?
I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I would imagine it's probably PG.
Yeah,
The stuff
I
in
think
there.
that one's PG. Despicable Me.
But Sing is one of my other all-time
Oh
favorites.
yeah, that we burned a hole in that one too. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, it is so cool. Anyway, we're all off track here.
Yeah.
But so any other advice you have to people as far as style and like when they're either trying to start a business or up level their business or anything like that? Like what should they do?
Yeah, well one for style, like even when you're looking to enhance your particular sense of style and you're working with somebody, someone who's good at what they do with helping you do that will really pay attention to what it is you do and what it is you feel comfortable in, and
Right.
just try to find the coolest version of that.
Yeah.
There are times when folks, may need a complete makeover, like complete.
Right.
But for
Being nice.
starters, you should always find somebody that's going to really get into what it is you like and just find the cooler version of that pencil skirt or the coolest version um, um, of that 2-button suit or whatever it may possibly be.
Right.
As far as entrepreneurs, you got to have mentors.
Yeah.
And you got to have mentors that have been not only successful in business, but you want to have mentors who also, you look at their life, right? Like, and I have mentors who may have been extraordinarily successful in business, but their family life is in shambles.
Yeah.
Right. So, they may be able to really add value when it comes to giving you counsel about some product, but at the end of the day, you want to couple that counsel with somebody who is successful in the 360-degree portion of their life.
Right.
So that's what I would say is the most important, is finding, that or those people who have their family life, their spiritual life, their professional life, completely in order, and they're thriving, not just like, okay, I'm good.
Right.
That they're thriving.
Yeah.
And then whatever that genre is that you're very much interested in, figure out the 5 websites that people that are in that particular genre, in that particular industry, what are the 5 websites that they look at every morning as soon as they start their day, and really begin to get familiar with those. Some of them may be things that there's a learning curve for you to really understand and learn how to read them. Not because you don't know how to read, just because they may have a different flow. So definitely say do that. And then the other part is, man, you know what? No big risk, no big reward.
Right. It's true.
No big risk, no big reward. And I'm saying that to myself while I'm saying that. There are things on the precipice right now, and I'm like, look, I'm gonna have to dive fully in. There ain't no like walking down the stairs, getting in the pool with entrepreneurship.
No.
You have to cannonball.
Yeah.
And that's the way you got to do it. This kind of halfway doing it, you're gonna get a halfway result.
It's true.
So those would be my big bug points. And then for me, you have to have a for real anchor in what it is you do that also becomes your internal barometer for the things you will do and you won't do in business, the way you're going to treat people and the way you don't treat people. And for me, that's my relationship with my Father in heaven. And so when I use that as my anchor, then, it's very interesting. I meet people now in business, and I actually use that as, that can help advance things many times in business. Because, my discernment is at a place, and when my discernment is off, my wife's sitting right next to me. She got the spidey sense of all time.
Yeah.
Tell you that right now. So
she's a helpmate. That's what she's there for. For sure.
Yeah. Oh, let me add that to entrepreneurship. Is you need some type of you need a real partner, like a real partner, not no partner in business partner. You need a partner that's in life partner, because what I found is, the partnership that my wife and I have, like, that's a partnership, and that's to death do us part. Right. So in order to have peace in this house, you have to have a level of compromise and a way to get to a compromise.
Right.
And I found when I'm in business with folks that don't, a lot of times, they're not some that are more malleable. They're not some that can really reset well. And I see a lot of times they're folks that they're people that, really hold grudges, because listen, you're supposed to argue things out to get to the best result for a decision. But you also got to be able to completely reset that thing so that you can move forward. And so, these are telltale signs. And yeah, there are people with spouses that don't do well at those things as well. Like, I totally agree.
Yeah.
But what I can say is, the folks that are happy in the situations they usually do a lot better in those particular situations, I found.
Yeah, you got to be equally yoked. You know what I mean?
100%.
And not just in relationship, but in business as well. Like, if people that you do business with don't believe the same things you believe, you're just setting yourself up for a problem later. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So can you share with us your Instagram or your website or anything where people can find out where all the amazing things you are up to in the world?
Yes. I'm at Fonz Bentley, Fonz as in zebra, Bentley. You better ask somebody on all of them. So on Twitter, on Instagram, it's the real Mr. Bentley on Facebook. And so get at me, and I'm here.
Well, thanks so much. It's been so entertaining and so educational. You have such extensive knowledge about style and everything that is just so refreshing to hear your point of view as a man. Because like most of the people I've interviewed have been women in this series. So I wanted to have a guy who's like really good with style in this series. And I was so happy that you were able to do it. And thank you to Fawn for being able to facilitate this with the kids and everything.
I'll tell Fawn you said thank you.
Yeah, tell her she's just lovely. You guys are such an amazing, beautiful family and couple, and it's just so awesome to see.
Well, thank you. And really enjoy your website, and you can see the passion and love in what it is that you do. Like, I got to tell you guys, Carl was so diligent about making sure we got this done. Let me tell
Yeah.
you.
In a nice
And
way. I try not to be a pest.
no, that's a very good point. I was going to say, people want diligence. People admire diligence. People respect and respond to diligence. But doing it where you can still be respectful and understand and give people that opportunity to like get their ducks in a row. Like, that is everybody doesn't have that skill set, and that's what separates the great ones from the ones that just pulled it off.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I just knew that you had a lot to share. I wasn't sure how much, but I'm so glad that I kept like just following up with you to make sure that we got it done, because you have so much to share, and there's so many guys that really need to hear that from a man who's done it very well, because there's just not that many, role models in that area. So it's important. Our young people need to have that, because that's what's going to set them up for success or failure.
Awesome. Well, before we go, I thought you were going to ask this question, so I'll just throw this one out. Some of my favorite men's designers.
Oh, yes. Please share.
Yeah. So I'd say Junior Wanatanabe. I'd say Gareth Pugh. Jay Koss, who's an American designer, who's a haberdasher I've been shopping at for the last 17, 18 years in New York City.
Okay.
Obviously, Ralph Lauren.
Of course.
So because of that, I'm going to say John Vazone, who was the head of menswear for 17 years at Ralph Lauren and created and invented Black Label and Purple Label. He now has his own brand, and he's also designing, just was announced designing for Barney's now, but he's a brilliant designer. And Marc Jacobs.
Yes, I love Marc.
And I'm going to say Kanye West.
Of course. Any Italian designers that you like? I'm a big fan of Emilio Zegna. I think their stuff is awesome. I went to their showroom when I went on. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Zegna makes really amazing things. Keaton is also fantastic. They're gonna break the bank though.
Well,
they're gonna break the bank.
Pieces that are just awesome, and you have it forever. For sure.
No, again, I'm not saying that those pieces, many of those pieces aren't justified in what they cost. Right. I'm just saying, the price of elementary school right now, we ain't getting no Keaton.
I know, that's right.
We making sure we getting these crayons.
Yeah, you got to keep it practical. Don't go into bankruptcy for clothes. Yeah. I would never recommend that for anybody. Buy the best quality you can afford, and make a little splurge here and there when it's justified. When it's something that you
100%.
100% awesome on you, and that anywhere you go in it, people are going to be like, who's that? Like, what the heck is going on? That's the kind of response you want when you buy something like that.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. It's been an awesome pleasure. And
of course. Thank you.
Done. Yeah. So I will let you know when yours is about to go live, so you can.
Yeah, so I can share.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Check it out.
Yeah. So and again, thank you to your wife, because I know it takes a village to get everything done.
Lord, it takes a village.
Babies. Which we've had a couple where my grandson jumped in, and the cat, and
oh, really?
I'm in here. I was talking to Troy Bayer. I was messing with her name.
Oh, Troy, yeah.
I was talking to her, and my grandson came in, and I had to you're in the middle of recording. You can't just be like, oh, it's not happening. So it's all good. It's life. That's what it is. So.
That's so funny you mentioning Troy, My wife mentioned Troy today. They co-wrote a screenplay with their partner Marvin Columbus about the African American Negro League. What?
Nice.
What'd you do that for? I don't know if that was a hallelujah or a don't say nothing. Anyway, yeah, so that was a hallelujah she did. But,
Oh, okay.
Everybody Holy Ghost stuff ain't the same. So
I got you. Yeah.
Fawn, you'll get punched in the face when she catching the spirit. So like what? Anyway.
Yeah, it's all good. I found her to be very amazing. She's an awesome person.
Yeah, Troy is amazing.
Yeah, I had a great time talking to her.
Yeah.
It's cool, small world.
So small.
Oh my gosh. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And when I come to the east side in your area, I'll make sure to let you know.
Yes, because I want to
Fawn, I'm on an interview. So you can't ask the question. Fawn wants to know, how do you know Troy?
Oh, so we're Facebook friends, and it was so random.
We're Facebook friends, and it was so random. Go ahead.
So I've done the Landmark Forum in the last 6 months, and she made a comment about something, and I was like, the way she spoke, her language, I said, hey, have you done the Landmark Forum? She's like, yeah, and I did this and this, and I led it, I coached it. I was like, we had this whole conversation about it, so that's how I ended up asking her if I could interview her, and she was so gracious to say yes. So
she's great.
Yeah.
Accomplished writer and director. We love Troy over here.
Yeah, and it was so amazing that she did the whole program. I was like, wow, because I did it in the last 6 months, and I'm going into the IELTS.
Oh, okay.
And now I'm in it, actually. So, yeah, it's an amazing program.
That's what I hear. It is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. If you ever get a chance, just check it out. And whenever you get time in your crazy schedule, I know.
Look,
don't add anything else.
Not now. No more on the plate.
I got you. All right. Well, good talking to you.
Good talking to you too, Kara. You have a good night.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.